Welcome to Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Sheldon, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. And if you're me, the fourth time recording a show. Alright, just to make some things short and sweet, I apologize for not putting out shows. I've had a couple of new subscribers, so you're probably wondering, is this common? And it's really not. What ended up happening is that I recorded a show talking about X-Men before we were done, seeing everything, and then more stuff came out, and then it pretty much negated everything I said. So then, you get live stuff, and you only get so much time to record, and then it's like, oh, well, here's this idea, and then it's like, oh, no, this doesn't work now. Oh, here's this other idea. Well, okay, that doesn't work either. So I just have been on hiatus, not because I've been not recording. It's just every time I come out with something, shortly thereafter I look stupid. So I've done posts on like 2 to 3 videos that won't see the light of day because it's obvious that I'm wrong. Which, being a journalist of sorts, I sort of value. I'd rather put stuff out thinking that I'm right instead of putting out stuff that I know I'm wrong. So, and I'm not making money directly off of this anyway, so yay me. Alright, so pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to look at the figures that I think that are good in the set. And I'm going to try my best not to talk about the figures that are bad in the set, even though I might stumble across a couple that I'm like, oh my gosh, why? So I'm going to give everybody here a little bit accelerated version of this, since it's like take 4. And I'm a little frustrated with myself and repeating myself. So, yeah. So, bear with me. Number 1, Cyclops. This character is pretty good. You potentially could end up being an 11-3 if you do everything right. And you have potential to take tokens off of X-Men characters. So, I like that. And considering how many X-Men characters you're going to be flooded with, additional leaderships are going to be pretty good. Go down to number 3, Beast. You take in his little X-Factor trait, which pretty much if you roll a 5, you get +1 damage. So, yay. That's pretty good. You get Bouncing Beast. He gets to use Leap Climb, and when he does, and he moves 4 squares or less, after actions resolve, he may make a close attack. So, I like this. It gives him mobility, a ghetto charge, and functionally, he potentially can, outwit your defense and do 3 damage to you. So for 60 points, I mainly like him because he fills in some holes needed in your defender's roster. Now, you would think I would like Iceman, but no. Next up is X-Trainee, and the main reason I like X-Trainee, and I'll just lump in X-Trainee and X-Student, is that they can be played for 15 points, and you can just flood them into increase your plus to map for your X-Men theme teams. X-Student has potential to be played at 25, just so that, if you couldn't otherwise bring in a cheap TK because you really needed it, you could do that, or a cheap direct support. I think you're more looking at the support more than anything else. And for the X-Trainee, you really just have the charge, super strength, and the hypersonic speed. Those are the only things that's really going for you. Number 7, Moira McTaggart. I really, really, really like this piece. First of all, 25 points push for Outwit. You get Leadership and Perplex for your X-Men, which you're going to have a lot of. And not only that, you get a student ID for free. That's good for 25 points. That's really good for 25 points, considering that our last really good Outwitter was Black Panther from Avengers Defenders War, and yes, I am saying he was the best. And really, until the team ability change with the rules changes, he was the best Outwitter that we had in the game, because he was able to shift into an attacker and kill somebody, and then shift back into being an Outwitter and be stealth and free move. But they took the freaking free move away. They took my free move away. Where's kids? Want to get you. Anyway, so pretty much for that little tiny package of 25 points, I would make Moya my girl. Just hang out with me while she's doing genetic experiments all day. Yep. Then you have 7B, Moya McTaggart. I personally feel that this character's time will come, and when it comes, watch out. I don't know what it will be combined with, but like I said, when that time comes, watch out. She has so much flexibility, but I think what needs to happen is Jakeem needs to. I'll take that back. Jakeem doesn't need to go away for you to consider her. And I'm really saying this mainly because she's going to fall into that same role that Nighthawk Prime did. You're going to find her as like a ultimate utility. And I think that's where you're going to get your advantage for her from. So I like this. I think there's a lot of potential here. So, yeah. Let's move on down the line. Slight. Shout out. Again, I just ate some Cheerios, so like my mouth is full of Cheerio goodness. I mean, come on, it's Cheerios. And it's 11 o'clock at night. Shout outs to Phoebe Cuckoo. I think that for 50 points, getting a stop click and having willpower TK with the ex-student trait, I think is really great. So definitely worth a purchase. Oh man, every time I get to this point, it's like reliving your trauma. I don't like Sync. I feel like he should be better. I feel like we should have gotten the version of him from, Phalanx War. At least make him a LE from Phalanx War, 6 clicks, toughness, charge, blaze, claws, fangs, 11 attack, 2 damage. Give him something like power mimicry, except, like he picks a power from an adjacent opposing character instead of friendly character, and watch him go off. And I would love to see that, because I feel I hate what they did to him in the comics, and I love this character, and this is one of those characters that I grew up with as a teenager, and he was one of the key figures that I would say like I vicariously lived through. And so when I look at him in heroclix, I'm not going to say this character was my Superman, because I never really had a character that most people look at Superman as. But if I was a teenager, young black man in that world, I would want to be him. And I look at that, as something interesting. Like he had the the life that I sort of wanted to live, until he got freaking killed by 2 racist white dudes, which I felt was so hand-fisted in to kill a guy like him. It's like, there were no mutants around, he got killed by 2 humans, and because he was black. And they just Emmett Till'd him, and I didn't like that. And he was a great character. And they end up making Prodigy, and Prodigy is sort of a tribute to Sync, and they work almost exactly the same way. And I look at this, and I look at all the adventures that he's been on, and I'm like, you didn't read the book. Like, and I don't expect WizKids to like, oh yeah, we read everything, but it's like you really didn't read the book. So, anyway, keep going. I like Hellion. Now, I did read this era in which Hellion came into the X-Men when he was a student. I really like this guy. Now, I didn't like his character arc until like later when he stopped being a douchebag. But this figure is great. Sidestep, and he has the potential to TK and then take an unavoidable damage and TK again. This is a game changer, because instead of this fills the role that Jean Grey, Fast Force's Jean Grey, filled. And instead of being like, oh man, all she did was TK and didn't really do much else, now you're like, yo man, he has a leadership and he TKs. So he's giving you plus to your actions, potentially taking tokens off your Hellions and X-Men, and TKing you twice and has a sidestep. Yeah, get this. Get this. This is a money. This is a money figure. This is something that most people will sleep on until it's too late. Get them for 50 cents on the dollar. All right. I would like Skids if he was 35 points, but he's not. So, oh well. Anyway, I'm gonna let that go. Mystique has potential. I just don't know how. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. I don't know how. Let's go into number 19, Cyclops. He has potential because you're starting to get a decent range, and you have sidestep. Unfortunately, no running shot. And he can just pretty much just shift around the field, shooting people, and I like that. But really, you're playing him for his top 2 clicks because he's not cranking out the damage. He's really not, and that's sad. But yeah, that he's just worth noting. I like Cypher mainly for everything comes down to language, which is adjacent, friendly characters, and friendly characters within 3 squares with the New Mutants keyword have protected outwit. This is great. Definitely considering that there's a lot of characters that you can help and protect with Cypher. And I know there's 15 and 20. I think it's like 15 or 20 point. Ben Urich does the same thing. But I look at him being more useful for your New Mutants teams because he has that New Mutants trait which allows them to just sort of sit back and heal up. Friendly New Mutants and just chill. And I think that's where his might's going to come in at. So I like that. So I think definitely, get a couple of them and, bank them and save them for your New Mutants team base. All right, let's go down to number 23A, Magneto. We got Force Blast, we have TK, we have an 18 defense, energy shield deflection, and a 6 range, 5 clicks for 50 points with the Headmaster for the New Mutants and getting that leadership perplex in that student ID. Yes, please. Yes, please. The only way that he would have been a better figure is if he could fly. But other than that, he is a very strong piece for 50 points and should be picked up. The Prime, its time is not yet. It needs to hang out with Gandalf for a bit in the other world, and maybe it'll, come down the hill to save us from Helm's Deep one day. But until that day comes, I don't think it's worth it. Leech, our first, hey man, screw you for picking those powers figure. I like it for a couple of reasons. Number one, it gives us an element of control, but we do have to note that if our opponent picks, Leech has precedent before your opponent picks, so if you are playing against a Leech, you would need to ask your opponent, what powers can I not use? You have to be clear, because if you tip your hand, your opponent will be like, well, you can't use Pulse Wave because you said I'm going to pick Rain Shot and Pulse Wave, and then he's going to be like, you're not going to be able to use Pulse Wave, or you're not able to use Running Shot. So you don't want to tip your hand on stuff like that. You could play a mind game and make him pick something that you were not even thinking about. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Also, if you pick something, let's just say you have the ability to pick 3 powers or 4 powers, you still get to pick that many amount of powers. You just can't pick that one option. So, yeah. I hope he's unique, because if not, this can get real stupid real fast. like grade A stupid. Like 2 or 3 of these on a big point team could really be neutering. But I really hope he's unique. He better be unique. Anyway, keep going. I really wanted Jubilee to be good, but she's okay. Mondo, I like him for the Gen X love. He was great. You find out that he was like a clone, and you're like, oh, all this time we got infiltrated by Black Tom Cassidy, and I was like, oh man, that's a good. Oh man, I liked Mondo was the chill dude. Like he was the Hawaiian guy. He was like, yo man, life isn't that stressful, and you find out he's an evil dude under the control of Black Tom Cassidy, and you're like, oh man, that sucks. But it makes sense because Black Tom Cassidy was pretty much like a dryad for a bit. So, yeah. Alright. Let's keep going. Oya could have been cool with the heat transfer thing, but I don't think it's there. I don't think it's there. Or when Oya hits 2 characters with a ranged attack, after resolutions, deal 1 penetrating damage to one and give the other an action token. I can see how you could increase your damage output exponentially, but I don't think it's there. Now, here's one thing that I do admit. If you're dealing with stop-click characters, Oya has potential. Because then you're able to knock them into their stop click and then give them a penetrating damage afterward. And most characters have impervious on their stop click or regen or whatever else. They don't really have invincible. So there is some potential to make Oya like a double tapper. But you have to be able to hit 2 characters with a ranged attack. So I don't know. Alright. Kitty Pryde. Now this is the one question I have. Because Kitty Pryde is really broken down to one important thing, and that's her quick through here special power. Her headmaster trait for all new X-Men. Oh gosh. That is the worst keyword. It's trash. Like the all new X-Men are mostly trash, and I hate them. They like from a design perspective, they don't stand out. They don't do anything useful or unique. And yeah, like I'll just leave it there. All right, so when you look at the quick through here, it says she gets to use phasing, teleport, stealth. Friendly characters can move through walls adjacent to Kitty Pryde. Now, this comes down to how WizKids rules it. Usually a wall is a single line. A wall is not a square of blocking terrain. But if a wall gets ruled as a square of blocking terrain, then yes, then everybody gets to be a Kool-Aid man for free. It's like, you get to be a Kool-Aid man. You get to be a Kool-Aid man. Hey, you there in the crutches, you too can be a Kool-Aid man. And that could be a little bit OP. Because here's the thing. She doesn't even have to do an action to have that go down. She could be carried up there and be like, oh yeah, I'm here now. And doop-de-doop-de-doo, everybody can move through walls that are adjacent to me. So yeah, like that can be abused. Definitely on WizKids Office. Because now approach vectors become very, very wide open for the Kitty Pryde player and not as wide open for the person going against Kitty Pryde. And anyone running any sort of like hypersonic speed yo-yo sort of thing technically has a free barrier until your opponent blows it down. A free permanent barrier. So it's something to consider. Alright, next up is number 34, Storm. Why her? Number one, she's a hyper taxi, able to carry carry 3 characters. Hopefully, I am not about to burn out my expensive computer here. I end up having to change the power cord on my computer, so I'm hoping that the wattage is fine, because the one that I had that came with the power supply was loose. Like, it wouldn't stay in. And so if the power cord got slightly jiggled whatsoever, the whole system would turn off. And I'd be wondering, like, why won't my computer turn on? And it's because my power cord was loose, and if I kick the extension cord whatsoever, then it turns off the computer. But anyway, right now I'm hoping that I don't generate an electrical fire. Alright, anyway, so let's go back to Storm. Headmaster with the X-Men, mwah, that's great. We got Leadership, Perplex, and a Student ID. Great. She can carry 3 characters with her special power, and she has willpower, so pretty much we get everybody in position. Oh my gosh, we're fighting. We're going to push past that. Now we got the sidestep RCE, throw down the lightning with the 6 range, which is meh, but hey, whatever. It's better than 5, because we could have got gimped on that, but hey, we didn't. Then, oh my gosh, we're getting hurt. Let's evac the heck up out of here. And Dipset with Storm. So that's pretty much how this figure works. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to transition through most phases like I said that. Usually it's going to be like, hey, we're here, and oh my gosh, Storm is crippled. We need to evac now. Evac now. We need a medic now. So, yeah. Now let's talk to talk about one of the first cosmic jewels in the Infinity Gauntlet of this set. Darwin. Is he the God King? Not quite. But he is a prince with a heavy crown. He has the X-Student trait. Then he has instant adaption. When Darwin is targeted with an attack, choose a standard defense power. Darwin can use a chosen power for this attack, which just pretty much makes him instant noodle stupid right there. Then he has a second, or actually third trait. I can adapt so much faster than you whenever another character uses an effect that allows it to choose one or more standard powers to use. After resolutions, deal that character 1 unavoidable damage. Now, my problem with this is the unavoidable damage part, because it makes characters like Jakeem completely gimped. So it goes like this. Turn 1, Jakeem has to pick a power. He's going to take damage. No matter what he does on the other side of the map, he's going to take damage. Let's just say Jakeem does not have a medic. Okay, so Jakeem moves up. Alright, great. He's moved up. He's picked powers. And boom. He's picked powers, he's taking damage, he moves up. Opponent just sort of chills. Jakeem picks powers again, takes damage. Let's just say he picks regen or something. He regens up and he pushes the regen, so he's back really functionally on click 2. Alright, turn 2, he's going to take damage, so now he's on click 3. Okay, the following turn he's cleared again. Alright, I'm going to try to regen back up. Alright, boom, I hit the top. Okay, sorry, I'm going to take damage because I picked powers. Alright, I healed up. I'm on click 2. Like, it's too much. And it's too much. You're just whittling yourself down. There's nothing that Jakeem can do. Now, there are some things that you can do to kill Darwin really, really quickly, in all honesty. But you just look at it and you're like, man, this, like, if you knew this was coming, WizKids, did you really need to take away shape change from Jakeem? And I don't think so. And realistically, I think they were just saying like, oh, look, we nerfed everything but Jakeem, and everybody feels like we're giving preference to Jakeem. So here, we're going to throw him out there to the angry mob with Goblin King and Unimind, which I would feel more so with those figures. Those 2 other figures, they were rightfully so needed to be like reined in because of how stupid they were. Because they did things on your opponent's turn. Jakeem just let you pick a limited amount of powers with decent stats. And if there was any crime with Jakeem, it was that his stats were too good for being a prime. his powers weren't OP. It was just his stats were just too good. He didn't have willpower or anything like that. But anyway, Darwin is going to be around. Darwin is definitely going to be around. So don't think that he's going to up and be here for a little bit. Like, he is WizKid's silver bullet for pick a power, so that they can be like, hey, there's Darwin. There's Darwin. Don't cry. There's Darwin there, baby. Have a Werther's original. Yeah. All right. I like all new Wolverine just because of Jonathan, the Pog. But other than that, it's not worth talking about. Then you have Unique Professor X 37A. Just for the fact that he can mind control through walls. Has the X-Men Headmaster trait where he gets leadership in Perplex and all the other jazz for X-Men. And the real trick with this one is that you use his mind control power to melee mind control, so you can have that character that you mind control attack other characters. Now, if you use him to just mind control a massive amount of figures, here's the key thing that you need to do. Definitely if you're doing it at range, you're just trying to tell them, back the hell up. You need to either move them into position so that either A, they're going to get lined up to be killed, or B, that they're completely ineffective. Okay, and another cool thing about this is Professor X works against Beta Ray Bill. He just does, because he doesn't require line of fire, and Bill just stops line of fire. So as long as you're within range, regardless of line of fire. So he's something that's going to be there to sort of rein in Bill teams if they get stupid. I want Professor X Prime to be good because he makes pogs, but it's just crap, so just ignore it. Number 38, Magic. Definitely some value there. I would say that she has potential to build up her corruption token so she can promote. So I think there is value with that. But I really would say, be careful not to just do things just to do them, to get corruption tokens. Have a plan in mind. But I like it. She has Passenger 3 and New Mutants trait. So there's some fun stuff. Sprite really is only good for her trait. She's a child. What have I done? What have I done? Yeah, that's that's Oscars worthy acting right there. Yeah. Anyway, she's okay. And she pretty much works like a very, very bad version of Phantom Girl. And yep, that's about it. She works like a bad version of Phantom Girl. Alright, next up is Banshee. Now, I feel Banshee is going to be a game changer for a couple of reasons. Number one, he has leadership, and using a character at 40 points for leadership with his diverse keywords is really important. The other thing is that if you play him at 75 points, he's a running shot, pulse wave, 3 damage. Now, some of you might say, but hey, Dark Logos, we have Sunfire, who was very similar in stats, and we didn't play him, and he was cheaper, so why are we going to play this guy? For one in particular reason is that I believe that he will have an ID card. And if he does have an ID card, he is a game changer, because being able for low point teams to be able to call in a running shot pulse waiver to finish off several characters in this game right now is huge. So I think that that's one of the big things that we're definitely going to be looking at. Also the fact that, again, if you play him standard, you're going to get a student ID card for free. So he is Moya McTaggart value level. You get a cheap 3-click attacker that's decent, and you get a free ID card, and you get a leadership. I really can't complain on that. That's a hell of a value deal. So definitely be on the lookout for that. His special power is okay. It's Stunning Blow, except you can increase your damage value with Perplex if you wanted to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's just give them a hand clap for making Chamber suck less than he did last time. Not great. He's this super freaking psychic dude, so powerful he blew off his own freaking jaw in his chest. And he's holding himself together with psychic power. But, for some reason, he doesn't have something like Hammer or whatever. Give him like a 5 range and have him work like Hammer, where he could just be like, boom, I hit everybody that's adjacent to that dude. Just killed them all. Anyway, I digress. Yes. M is okay, not really worth it unless you're trying to recreate that X Factor lineup, and realistically, I don't like M. I never liked M as a character. I don't like divas. M is a diva. I don't care how hot a diva is. I don't like divas. I'm allergic to Hood in my choice of women, and I'm also allergic to divas. Like, highly allergic, break out in hives, have to go to the hospital. Can't deal with them. Alright, so let's keep rolling down the line. And let's look at gold balls. Now, previously, before my computer went out, I acted like a 5-year-old. So now let me try to regroup myself to properly explain why this figure is stupid good. Oh, man. I've been waiting for a figure like this for the longest time. Not to be juvenile, but for a mechanic. This mechanic is stupid. So stupid. So stupid. Okay, so let's get into it. He got the ex-student thing. Whatever, don't care right now. He needs it. He needs the ex-student thing, because if he was any cheaper whatsoever, it would be absurd. Then he has gold balls. Gold balls. Unique modifier. Opposing characters adjacent to, occupying the same square as, or holding one or more gold ball objects modify their attack values and defenses by -1. So there's that. That is nice. But then how he makes his gold balls. Poink. When gold balls hits an opposing character with a ranged attack, after resolution, you may generate a standard light object named gold ball in a character square. Now, he does have to hit. But for, those of you that have been with this show for years, think back of the number of characters that do all sorts of BS when they pick up or destroy a object. And this guy just makes objects for free. And they debuff your opponent. Yes, please. Like him and Gizmo are going to get along swimmingly. Okay. So, there are so many things that you can do. Like if you can increase his range with a sniper rifle, or increase his targets with the Dr. Octopus arms. Like, there are tons of things that you can do with him, like, overall in the history of this game to make this dude stupid. And on top of everything else, okay, you hit them and you use Force Blast, and you're technically sort of gobbing them up. Forget I said that last part. Um, yeah, so overall, before I ruin my own show, Gold Balls. It's great. Enough said. Alright, let's look at Prodigy. Prodigy has Knowledge Sponge because he has the X-Student trait too. He's 30 points and really very, very cost efficient. Like way more cost efficient than he should be. But I'm not complaining because he's probably going to show up on my Black History Month team if given the chance. So you have Knowledge Sponge. Once per turn, when an opposing character uses an effect that allows it to choose a standard power to use, you may choose a friendly character. Prodigy and the chosen character can use the standard power until the end of your next turn. This is really good, definitely, if your opponent's picking Perplex, Support, Outwit, Invincible, Super Senses, Shape Change. Yeah. If you pick the right... If he's just huddling next to everybody, like, hey, man, you know, they're going to have to pick a power sometime. And if it's Jakeem, they are going to pick a power. And then all of a sudden... This is the problem that I see. Prodigy plus Unimind can be very, very abusive. Because now you have the ability to potentially pick two powers. Now, I know some of you will say, like, but Darwin. Yeah, but Darwin. Like, you can sort of, if you know the ways of the Force, you can deal with Darwin. You can deal with Darwin. I'll leave it at that. But I think that can be a huge problem. Huge problem. So the fact that he is an Outwit up front, and then he's like, you know, I'm a medic in the back. Like, it's a support mullet. It really is a support mullet. He's all business up front, and then when, you know, things go south, it's, hey, man, it's not that bad. Get back in there, party in the back. And he has X-Men team ability. So, yeah. Like, that's a thing. So, that's not, that. Yeah, so there you go. But anyway, let's keep rolling. We're rolling. Professor X Dreamer would be good if his, like, -9 was a -8 or a -7. But it's not. It's a -9. And his freeze motor functions, if that was a -3 or even a -2. Let me say, yeah, a -3. I would have more respect for this figure. But I would also say he would need to cost more. But at 50 points, he's just, no. He's cheap. So you're using him... yeah, you're using him, but it's too much risk. Because the moment he dies, for the rest of the game, your opponents have +1 damage. Whereas, if he does his little effect, you reduce the damage taken by an additional 1. So if you already have a damage reduction, let's just say you have Invincible. You reduce by 4 now. You reduce by 3 and still take a minimum 3. So yeah, that's a game changer. Impervious, reduced by 3, still can roll out. So I just say it's flabbergasting. It's flabbergasting. But overall, like I could say, like, hey, experiment with it. I don't think, unless you get something to slow the tempo down, I don't think he has a place in the game. But I do think he is worth it for locals. He's not rock level. Magneto Realist, again, it's one of those things of if the -9 was a -8, that would be nice. But it's not. So, yeah. Now, magnetic wave, that could be sort of good. Now, let me explain why magnetic wave can be good. Now, first off, it doesn't stop you from carrying. Okay? And it also doesn't stop other move effects from going off. So you're technically getting sidestepped without getting sidestepped. So what you can end up doing is magnetic wave, you have character A carry character B. Character B then moves due to magnetic wave. Then sidesteps after all the magnetic wave stuff is done. So you can get a character pretty far. So I think that's very, very interesting. I think there's a lot of potential there with Magneto Realist. His stats and his point costs and everything else with him, that fool gonna die. He's going to die. Like he doesn't have the ability to do what he does and stay alive. But he does give a nice stat bump to all friendly characters, including himself. So functionally, like whenever you want, he's a 12 attack and at lowest a 10 attack. That's not bad. So I look at the potential there, and like I said, like I don't like it. I don't like his disad is really, really strong. Like Professor X is 50 points. So yes, like I can understand punishing your opponent for the rest of the game if he dies. But Magneto's 100 points. I don't see why you would punish your opponent for the rest of the game for him. Now that's my concern. So yeah, like overall, it's not bad. I just think he's questionable. The leadership is nice, but unfortunately, he doesn't have good keywords. Like Brotherhood of Mutants is not a good keyword unless you're playing a Brotherhood of Mutants team, and even then, there are better Magnetos. All right, let's keep rolling. Angel could be interesting, but not quite. He's not quite there. Let's look at number 52, Cyclops. I know some of you might say, why are we looking at this figure? And I'm going to say because he is the most brokenest 50 points that I've seen in a long time. And I know some of you might be saying, like, what? We've had way better figures for 50 points than the Cyclops. I'm like, Let's really look at this. Okay, for 50 points, we get improved targeting, ignores and destroys blocking. We already know it's only one single square, but still. 8 range, he can reach out and touch somebody's hand with that. Then you have Headmaster X-Men, so leadership in Perplex. Okay, so add that on top of that. Plus that student ID. Alright, running shot, precision strike, willpower, 11 attack, 3 damage. Okay, then we have stay away from my students. Free, make a ranged attack, but only to target an opposing character that damaged another friendly character with the X-Men keyword with an attack since your last turn. Interesting. Then, rebuild the X Institute. Sidestep. If Cyclops is closer to the opposing starting area than his own, he can use Penetrating Psychic Blast. Otherwise, he can use Energy Shield Deflection. So what you're telling me is for 50 points, if I am in the most optimal situation from a call-in perspective, I can be buffed up, attack twice, sidestep, and have Energy Shield Deflection or Psychic Blast, depending on my position on the field, for 50 points, I'll take it. I'll take it in triplicate. Okay? And I joke with I take it in triplicate, but really think about it. If you're able to protect them and you have like a shock trooper like X-Men, let's just say Colossus from Deadpool and X-Force, and he took some hits from your opponent's major attacker, and you're like, all right, cool, sidestep, running shot, Psychic Blast potentially for 3, and if I perplex up the damage or do any other sort of thing, because hey, I can perplex up each of the Cyclopses can perplex up the other Cyclops, or perplex up the Colossus, and then I just running shot at a 12 attack, or running shot with a 4 damage, or with a 9 range, or a +1 movement, and I sidestep. Like, this Cyclops is definitively the second best Cyclops in all the history of heroclix. And the first one is AVX Cyclops, because he was able to outwit through walls. Okay, he was able to outwit through walls. That's some stuff right there, being able to outwit through walls. This is a whole nother level. This is a whole nother level. Okay, it's close. It's close to AVX Cyclops. But what's really holding him back is you have that pesky 150 point dial, which is it's trash. Straight trash. But that 50 point dial, that's magnifique. It's beautiful. It's a work of art and in motion. Okay, like your enemies will tremble for the call in of freaking Cyclops. Okay, this is it. This is it. This is the second crown jewel in your freaking Infinity Gauntlet of this set. Darwin's number 1, and this Cyclops is number 2. Like, it's too good. It's just too good for what it does. So yeah, like, watch this be like $50 for a while. All right, next up is Wolverine. He's sturdy, and he has multiple stop clicks, and I can see playing him at 150, and I can see him playing him at 50. I would rather play him at 150 just to pretty much team him up with 2 Cyclopses. And I don't want to point out how stupid that is. You play 2 Cyclopses, Hellion, and so that is doing math. That's 290, and then you pay for 2 more ID cards, and you can use Wolverine to summon in those ID cards, and you just theme prob using Hellion, perplex up using Wolverine and Cyclops and leadership off of each other. And if they hurt Wolverine, you just double tap them with Cyclops twice. I think I just built somebody's WKO team or something. I feel like I just done that. Yeah, like, and then you have 2 ID cards, because you're going to get 3 ID cards for free, then pay for 2 more ID cards or an equipment. But you preferably want 2 ID cards so you can summon in like a level 7 and a GA. And yeah, like, you're good. You're gold. Yeah, you're golden. You're golden. Yeah. So you run, and you're an X-Men theme team. So 2 Cyclopses, Hellion, and Wolverine at full. Wolverine at full. You're golden. And the other thing that's cool too is Cyclops can standard blow a wall and then activate the free attack and shoot through the second wall. Now that'll preach. That'll preach, my brothers. That'll preach. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. Okay, so next up is Gateway. And he has Passenger 8, and that's really all you need to know. He has Passenger 8, Improp, and Generation X Reavers, X-Force, and X-Men keywords. Yep. And he can carry characters with Flight or Battle Fury if they share a keyword with him. Now, this is beautiful because everybody that's lived in hey guys, I'm going to introduce this guy to the team land, knows how in perpetuity, I can't even say it, perpetuity, I think there you go, Pepper's Farm, that Gateway is going to be on so many teams. When Gateway carries 2 or more characters after a resolution in your action phase, so pretty much you go into end game. I'll be honest, you carry the entire team. There ain't nothing else to do. Now I know some of you would be like, "Hey man, hey Dark Logos, you can't do, that Sam Cap jank." And I'm like, "Yeah, you can't do that Sam Cap jank. Okay, that's fine. But if you share a keyword with him, so what? You won't be able to do the Sam Cap jank." Yeah. I mean, come on, man. He has Passenger 8. Alright. That's ridiculous. So yeah, they had to rein him in just a little bit. But other than that, like, he's boss. And he's also like Manifold's like relative somehow or whatever. Alright. Old Man Logan is okay, but yeah. Dust, now this is my girl. Again, that X-Men series from early 2000s. Like, yeah, this is my chick. Yeah, I like her. Like, I would want her and Kamala Khan to sit and like have tea and talk what it's like being Muslim and metahuman. Not that like I'm pro-Muslim or anything, but I think that is really a diversity comic that would actually go somewhere. And then you could have like a Isaiah Bradley or somebody like that come in and have a conversation about, I think Isaiah Bradley's Muslim. And I'm speculating because I've just looked at the pictures of the wall in red, white, and black. But there's like him with Farrakhan and Ali and a few others, which with how he's dressed, you could speculate that he's Nation of Islam. But anyway, what it's like being, Muslim in America and in particular. But I like Dust as a character because Dust wore the hijab at a period of time in which, counter to how it is now, the feminists were like, the hijab is oppressive, and that's why we need to go into Iraq and Iran and free these women from being oppressed. It's like, it's an oppressive religion. Lo and behold, like how times change, how tunes change. But this isn't a political podcast about the nature of leftist politics and religion. This is a heroclix podcast. But Dust, a really good character for the battlefield there. X-Men TA, Sidestep, Precision Strike, X-Student trait, which it's okay. But she has improved movement, ignores elevated, ignores hindering. And I find this really good because she can just pop up anywhere. And that becomes really important when you look at her trait and her special power. Her trait is Scouring Sands. She gets Smoke Cloud as free. So your Batman teams rejoice because this is your chick. Smoke Cloud is free, but only to place 4 markers at the end of each opponent's turn. So if you're playing multiplayer games, she's so good. Deal 1 damage to each opposing character occupying or adjacent to a smoke cloud marker placed by Dust. That is so good. Then she has defense power, Swirling Sands. She has super senses, and Dust modifies her defense by +1 for each adjacent smoke cloud marker placed by her. So up front, she's a 20D. She's a 20D with super senses. And if you don't play it right, she just creeps on you. And then drops sand markers when you're double token and you find somebody to take away defense powers. And she just causes so many problems. I like her a lot. I think she's going to be more of a finesse piece than anything else. But hey, her gateway, who knows? You might find some jank to do with her. Kid Gladiator. This is Freddie Freeman all over again, except slightly better. 2 clicks of hypersonic speed, charge, whatever. He has impervious up front. He has protected outwit, but only from characters of less points, which is like meh. He has potential to buff himself with all glory for your Imperial Overlord, but other than that, he's your standard like hypersonic speed, punch him in the mouth and dip out character. Is this going to be a meta character? Don't know. Again, let's just say you don't want to play that awesome team that I built for you. With the Wolverine, and you got the Kid Gladiator, and you got 30 more points, and you want to fiddle around a little bit. Kid Gladiator, 2 Cyclopses, and a Hellion. That's 3 leaderships that you potentially roll to get tokens off of them. Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal, my friend. So yeah, plus 2 perplexes and potentially buffing yourself. Yeah, like that's pretty good. I can't believe I'm like just giving this away. Like, understand, you go into locals with that, you can curb stomp some people. You really can curb stomp some people. All right, we're almost at that hour mark. So let's look at number 58, Magic. She is okay, but you're mainly looking at how she's tying back to the previous Magic. She has the trait, the Dark Child. I'm trying to fight it. It just almost yells like, call me now, baby. Call me now, baby child. But yeah, Steel Energy, when Magic KOs an opposing character after resolutions, roll a d6, 1 through 4, deal her 1 unavoidable damage. Okay. Whatever. New Mutants trait, yay. Demonic Mistress of Limbo, she has phase and teleport. Stealth free, roll a d6, place magic up to that many squares away. Which is really nice because you could potentially have a 5 or 6 ghetto charge and you get to be placed. So you could use Exploit or use Psychic Blast, definitively, or use some other abilities if you could be granted those abilities. So yeah, I like that. Oh man, this Emma Frost is horrible. Like straight horrible. I don't know why they made that, but if you've, I don't even know what to say. Like, most of the Hellions in this game aren't that good to have colossal stamina. They just aren't. And even though you have the headmaster, actually should be headmistress. But, okay. Anyway, I don't like it. And then the Prime isn't worth it. Like, the Prime, I've done my best to try to push and say, like, okay, look, here's the best stuff in here, but I really do have to sort of harp on this. Compare this 50 points to Cyclops. Like, just straight up compare this 50 points to Cyclops. And you can clearly see how much more lacking this figure is. Okay, it's pathetic. It's straight pathetic. So I can't. Yeah, it's just trash. So just rolling on. Oh, all right. Let's look at the traits. Let's look at the chases. Angel can be interesting if you have like a suicide bomber team with a Punisher van, but that's about it. Dark Beast as well. I'm really not a fan of him, but he is okay for his points. He's respectable for his points. Cyclops. So good. Another crown jewel in the set. Alright, first off, he has improved targeting. This character can make ranged attacks while adjacent to opposing characters. He has a Survivor of the Age of Apocalypse trait for now. When Cyclops is damaged by an opposing character, give that character a revenge token when Cyclops attacks a character with one or more tokens named Revenge. Modify attack and damage by +1. When Cyclops is KO'd, you may choose an opposing character with a token named Revenge and remove all those tokens and roll that many times. For each roll of 5 or 6, deal that character 1 penetrating damage. I love this. I love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it. You know, if you're running a Survivor of the Age of Apocalypse for now trait on another character, you call him in, you know, and then he gets pumped, or, you know, you're bringing him in at 100 points. You're playing him at 100 points, you know, 11 attack, 4 damage. He has a special power where he gets leadership and enhancement, plus he's in Dom, which a lot of characters in this set are not. Okay. He gets precision strike and knockback with a second power. Like, it's good. It's really good and point efficient. So I have to give props for this piece. Then, you know, your warping reality gem, Iceman, on your Infinity Gauntlet, just clock that one in there. This is probably going to be like a $75 piece, maybe a $100 piece. And let me explain why. Forget the Survivor of the Age of Apocalypse. There are key elements outside of the piece itself that's the game changer. Number one is we know we're going to get an Iceman ID card. Number two is we're bound to get an Iceman student ID card and an Iceman headmaster ID card. If we get two, you can get two of these Icemans and play the headmaster ID card and then play the student ID card and then have one for each. So functionally, you can play an Iceman for 3 points if all you care about is the running shot pulse wave. And then you can play the other one for 5 points if you care about the inspiration. But if you're in a situation where you need to double tap and make sure that Jakeem is dead, yeah, this is what you're looking at. This is definitely a character that will show up in the meta scene. Now the question comes in, is he showing up at 175 or is he showing up primarily at 60? I say both are possible. But then you have the Ice Clone. So let's talk about the Ice Clone real quick. At the end of your turn, before clearing, if the number of Ice Clone bystanders on the map is less than Iceman's action tokens, generate one. Free. Remove an adjacent Ice Clone bystander from the game. This turn, Iceman has a giant symbol and modify as attack and damage by +1. So go back to that double Iceman card trick. And again, I am speculating that we are getting 2 Iceman cards. And again, it's WizKids being dumb. Because there's no reason why you should have 2 with the same freaking name. Just pick one. Just pick one. Hell, with all the all-new X-Men stuff, just keep a student one. And make sure it requires that he has the all-new X-Men keyword. Stop the BS right there. That's it. But anyway, so you burn Iceman number 1. He brings out the Ice Clone. Okay. The Ice Clone is there. And the Ice Clone is no slouch either. 5 range, sidestep, shape change. So it has some survivability unless you're dealing with shredders. Incap. And 2 damage. So it's doing goodness. It's doing goodness. Alright. Then the second time you bring out Iceman again. You eat the Ice Clone. Now you're a 12-5 running shot pulse wave or a 12-4 sidestep pulse wave. That's good. That's finger licking KFC good. Okay, so when you look at the characters in the game, and I know some people could argue, but like Dark Logos, we got Green Arrow. Why wouldn't I just run Green Arrow, Dark Logos? Again, when you look at the long term, and I'll be wrapping things up here shortly, and I'll be talking about the future with WKOs. Right now, WKOs in post retirement, but this is probably going to be one of the main characters that the meta is going to turn to for the next 2 years, or at least a year and a half. And so, yeah, I don't see the price going down real quickly, and I see there being a high demand for him. And I'm not just trying to say hype it because I got a couple that I'm willing to sell on eBay, but really, like, it's something that we really want to look at. Next up, if we're going to talk about our mind gem, here's Jean Grey. And Jean Grey is another one that a lot of people, I don't think they understand her full potential. And so forget the Survivor Apocalypse thing. Let's go into Telepathic Tempest. She gets Psychic Blast, Telekinesis, normally or as free. Now, she can only do one or the other. If Jean Grey uses Telekinesis as free, her range value becomes 3 and replace 6 with 3 in the next, in the text of the power. Okay, so it goes like this. If you free TK yourself first, then your range becomes 3, which is a little suck, but it limits you to be like, alright, I can guarantee that I'm going to auto break away and make this close shot. Okay, or I can running shot first, have my full 8 stupid range, and then I can make sure my placement is good, and free TK, either do one of the following. Number 1, double tap, and that's why, like, you could TK an object and finish off an opponent, which is one of the main reasons why I think she is really good. And she still has Outwit, mind you. Number 2, TK herself back to safety, or if she's called as an ID card, TK herself away far enough so that she goes poof on her own. This is a very, 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 very powerful piece. Okay. I don't think most people realize how good this piece is. And whether it's in the short term or the long term, the problem comes in is it's really hard to, in most people's mind, I can see, to justify playing her at 90-point standard and at 60-point standard. And I understand that. But if I am looking at her as a 5-point call-in, she is way more powerful than I think most people are giving her credit for. Alright, I'm not going to review the fast forces because the fast forces are the fast forces. And they better come with the map. Because if this set doesn't come with the map, I don't see this fast forces moving at all. Like, at all. Like, you can look at, or come with a special object. Like, it has to come with a special object. Oh, nope, it doesn't. So, yeah. So, no special object. And, yeah. I don't see this fast forces moving whatsoever. It's like utter trash. So, let's talk about this real quick. And let's be honest real briefly. Number one, the way this set feels in right now is they are the X-Men, not the Avengers. They are the fill-in characters. These are the support characters. This is your Joker's Wild and Harley Quinn set for X-Men, which is really sad because the last X-Men set did the exact same thing. There's really no muscle in this set. It doesn't change the game right now outside of punishing pick a power, which we already knew was going to be significantly punished anyway. The next thing that when we look at this set we can take away is that there is a lot of utility. Moya McTaggart in and of herself devalues a lot of other previous pieces. In particular, I'm thinking off the top of my head is movie set Odin, unless you're Asgardian, and what's her name? The Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller, at first, with the new rules changes, was like, oh my gosh, Amanda Waller's great. Now, really, she's sort of trash as well. There are a lot of characters that were just, cheap 25-point leadership with a decent keyword, and now they're really locked in to those keywords, because for a leadership and an X-Men Perplex and a free ID card and Outwit, there is very little in this game that can compete with that as of right now and really overall. And the only character that comes close to beating her in value is Jarvis. And Jarvis only does it because he's able to pack 3 IDs. And Jarvis is more expensive. But when you really look at it, like, Jarvis is the only figure I see within that 40 points or less utility realm that comes close to her. And Jarvis is retired. Jarvis is sitting drinking Mai Tais on the beach in Panama, okay? Alright, so we can't bring Jarvis back. But this is dang close. It's dang close. And if we get good student IDs that are worth it, like if we get a Cyclops student ID, an Iceman student ID, a Storm student ID, like I got the stank face, like that's problems. That's grade A problems. All right, so we have to establish that this set is primarily utility set to be played with old X-Men. So it gives value to old figures and the stuff that's about to retire, but it can't really stand on its own to fight. I'm going to be completely honest with that. Majority of the stuff cannot go toe-to-toe with other major sets. The next thing that I look at in looking at our going forward to the WKOs, for the WKOs, the ID cards are going to be the game changers. And real talk, if I know we're getting a Storm ID card, and I know we're getting a standard Iceman ID card, but if we get a Banshee ID card and a Iceman student ID card, don't even think about Jaquim. Just don't. Because the amount of Pulse Wave that I can throw at you is stupid. Not even like, oh yeah, Pulse Wave. Phoenix Force Storm, 11 attack, 4 damage, running shot, Pulse Wave. Banshee, if he has an ID card, 10 attack, 3 damage, enhancement, Pulse Wave. If I can get 2 Iceman ID cards, I already told you the trick on that. Jaquim can't take that. And you just need a Yu-Gi-Oh dealer that can make your dreams possible. And you don't even need a high point Yu-Gi-Oh dealer. You could still go low ball and cut yourself off at 150 points and have 100, not 150 points. You have at least like 120-ish points to still work with. So that's something as well. And when we started looking at the transition, at the devaluing of actual resources and the valuing of special objects, and the kick to the butt and into other areas, to Jaquim, to Unimind, to Goblin King. Real talk, like, these ID cards disrupt a lot. So, am I going to say completely that it's Yu-Gi-Oh 2.0. No, I'm not going to say specifically it's Yu-Gi-Oh 2.0, but these ID cards do destabilize things. At the other end, not having inspirations and paying lower point costs for not having inspiration does create interesting conundrums that we did not have before. Which is, what are we really calling these figures in for? And if we're calling them in specifically just for the character, then the Iceman student ID will be way more valuable than the Iceman headmaster ID. So I'm just going to be honest. Same thing for Storm. Like if oh gosh, if we get a Storm student ID, which I hope we don't, I don't think we will, that would be a huge problem. That would be a huge problem for the game, because you're just going to see double summons of Storm as Phoenix Force Storm. That's it. Like, oh, boop, boop, 2 pulse waves. 2 4 damage pulse waves coming out at you, or even 3 4 damage pulse waves coming out at you. That is huge. And the main reason I'm emphasizing this is that previously we've never had a Shazam until recently that can go out there and pulse wave, and Shazam is very, very high cost, like really high cost. So when we take a break and we look at the previously in the game, we only had 2 pulse waves in the game. We had the Nova ID card and we had the Black Canary ID card. And Black Canary was running shotting into our lives. She couldn't fly. She was grounded with Pulse Wave Force Blast, which now is probably way more stupider things that she could do now than previously. But she had mediocre stats, and most characters could summon her in. Same thing with Nova. Nova could potentially go up and pulse wave a whole group of characters for 2. Now, when you're dealing with Super Scroll and making sure that the zombies stay dead, you got to double tap. Instead of having to double tap the brain, you just set them on fire. It works. It works really well. But when we start looking at characters, for example, like playing 175 point Goblin King, if you can get the stats up on one of these call-ins, whether it's Iceman or it's Iceman or Storm, you could just one-shot Goblin King if you get lucky enough. And that's all she wrote. And if you're going against like a full point Goblin King and that hit lands, that Goblin King is crippled. And the question is could it take another one of those attacks? And that's really like the $1 million question. So anyway, so going into WKOs, I'm going to make this prediction. All of the old gods are hurt and injured, and the people don't know where to go. So they're going to find something else to worship, whether it be shredders or whatever. And I think right now it's shredders, because that's the last thing from the old world that held on. It's the only technology that we have left. And I think what's going to be interesting is, what is the new technology that we're going to make now? Because hell, I made like an X-Men theme team off the top of my head, and it's not horrible. Like, anybody could tweak that sucker and make it awesome. Like, 2 Cyclopses is rather pimp. Standard Green Arrow is also another good idea. Playing standard, Nick Fury on the Force is a good idea. There are tons of different Beta Ray build formations that can be run that are really good. Those things still exist. Full point Goblin King still exists. With, I think 1 ID card and the boxing ring and something else. There are a lot of good ideas for a person to still utilize in the game. It really comes down to putting in the time and research. And I'm betting if you look at it, you probably can make a really pimp Avengers team that can threaten a Jakeem or a Unimind team. That, for those people that are still holding on to that. So when I look at the WKOs, I look at a potential situation for disruption. I don't think you're going to be hearing tons of reports of like first, second, third, and fourth were all Unimind for constructed events. I don't think you're going to hear that. Now, let's real briefly talk about after retirement. So we're looking more towards Origins. I'm going to be honest, Avengers and Infinity is just going to bust all this wide open, and we're going to see brokenness. And here's why. Historically, whenever they've raised the point cost, they've made the stuff more broken. Outside of Civil War OP, that's the only set where it, like, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, if you know what I mean. Like, they raised the prices and they did not deliver. So, pretty much, we're going to see some OP stuff in the Avengers Infinity set. Now, the question comes in is how much of that is going to develop outside of Origins? Also, are we going to see a reprint of, the classic Avengers IDs like Iron Man, Thor, stuff like that, Captain America? If so, does that change things? Does that make us look away from the X-Men IDs? And in all honesty, it's going to be a mixed bag because the classic, second wave ID cards are going to be retired. A lot of con exclusive ID cards are going to be retired. No more Spider-Man, unfortunately. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, few others. They're all gone. So what now? Like, legitimately, like what now? Like, if we get more ID cards, more Avengers ID cards, are these characters that we didn't have, or are these rehashes of characters that we got before? If they're rehashes of characters that we got before, then yeah, we know what to expect. It's going to be Pulse Wave City. It's going to be long range attack and Pulse Wave City. Hawkeye comes back in a blaze of glory, and everybody was like, "We missed you, bro, for 5 seconds." Yeah, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, like, I think when we look at this set past retirement, we're really not gaining much. And I hate to be. So some people think like I just get off and get my utter joy just saying WizKid sucks, and I don't, because I love this game. But when we start looking at all the stuff that we lose, like from Nick Fury all the way up to Civil War OP set, we're losing some good stuff. The BVS stuff was pretty good. World's Finest was excellent. First batch of TMNT, I mean, how many years did we wait for that? The Uncanny X-Men and all the stuff that we lost from Uncanny X-Men, we're losing from Uncanny X-Men. In particular, our beloved Jean Grey Fast Forces from the Fast Forces. And our brief ire of Mystique. We look at the majority of the stuff that we're losing some solid pieces. We're not losing, really, outside of the ID cards, really World's Finest and Superman, Wonder Woman with the Colossals. We're not losing a lot of core elements of how we play. So we're losing the ideas from Nick Fury, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're losing Nighthawk Prime. We're losing the 300 point / 100 point Hulk in Nighthawk Prime. That's really what's left of the influential stuff from that set. Superman, Wonder Woman, we're losing Brutal, which was actually pretty useful. I mean, all the ID cards, the Colossal Retaliators. But, like, when we really look at that set, oh yeah, and our, I forgot, yeah, we're losing our last Possessors. So, no more Possessors. and we're also losing Supreme Intelligence and the teleporter. So when we look at a world without resources, we look at a world that's primarily focused on ID cards and on equipment, we have to be very careful in how we navigate this, because we've been here before. We've been here before. Not with the ID cards, but having a meta primarily revolve around the special objects. And trust me, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. And after a while, we're going to cry out for resources. Mark my words on this. A year of no resources will cause so much stress and pressure, and with Roll20 and everything else, with singularities happening quicker and quicker to force some level of diversity, resources will come back into the game. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because it'll move product. It will move product. So I don't know if they'll learn their lesson or not. So anyway, that's it for today's show. I am going to sort of end a little differently today. I'm looking at Twitch. And in particular, I'm looking at Twitch for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, I'm looking at it as like alternative growth stream to look at whether it's revenues, subscriptions, or whatever else. But I'm also looking at it as a platform to play primarily as a platform to play heroclix on. If I shift into Twitch as the primary thing, I'm not really going to do the standard show anymore. I'm going to just be on Twitch for an hour and a half, 2 hours, play a game once a week, and then upload it to YouTube. Or I'm going to talk about stuff, and that's going to be the show. Or talk about the stuff and play a game. So it will be less structured. It'll be less structured. But I'll be able to reasonably, create a more interactive environment. And then also, schedule some stuff that's a little bit better. Or I can go down the second route, which is just to establish sort of a Patreon for YouTube, and then just keep the things the way they are. And then I'll try to find software that just screen captures and have mock games, for example, here and there. So I really won't go down the Twitch route. Now, you might say, well, why am I doing all of this? Well, here's the reason why. Number one, I need some software that's a little bit better than what I have, and eventually I have to spend some money on that. I also dumped some money on a better camera, so I am going to be able to record events a lot better with a more high-def camera. I really am thankful for Mr. Miller for giving me a camera. I know that seems like trivial, but no, I really am, because that camera has allowed me to record so many events and document so many of my friends living and passed on. I don't know what to say. I was able to show you all points of my life that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to. And realistically, I was the only person for a long time just taking live video as the events are going on, at Origins or at Rocktober or whatever else. So, but I do realize I'm at a point where the game has changed. I gotta up my camera game. I gotta up my software game. There's a bunch of things that I need to change with this channel, just to try to improve it. And a lot of you have helped me over the years with like little things, and I appreciate it. I really do. Like even Devin making my background in my and then Devin making my background, and then Yodakeem Adler making my my graphic, and like there's just hell. Even my theme song from Greg Place, like all that stuff I appreciate, but I also realize like I have to keep like making the show better, and that requires some money that I don't have, and I would more put it along the lines of I don't have it mainly because I'm trying to pay off student loan debt while also playing this game. And I know I'm violating like all my principles of marketing, in which I've taken and spent way too much money on learning. But I primarily, I pay like $300 to $500 in student loan debt per month. So just to compensate for all those years being unemployed and at Target, for those who remember during those times. So there are a lot of traps that come with student loans, and I probably fell into backward all of them. So like my student loan debt pretty much was doubled from what I initially had when I got out of seminary. So I've limited some other elements of my life, like and I go out, it's like $5-10, and I never spend more than like $15 if I'm out, and it's all on water. But yeah. So anyway, that's where I'm looking at moving towards. And initially, I never thought I would have to be at this point, because when I started, Blip was actually profitable. Like if Blip never kicked me off of that platform, I would have made by now at least $1,000. If the profit sharing revenue stayed the same, I would have made at least $1,000, because I was raking in. I was close to making my first $100 by my 25th episode, before they kicked me off the platform and decided not to pay me. So I would have made it by then, and if that kept up, you see how many episodes I have, plus additional videos that I've done that aren't just standard episodes, and I could have made way more money. But YouTube, I came in at YouTube at like a great time if I did what Glass Cabinet did, which was unboxings. And when everybody listened and gave the feedback early on the show, they were like, yo, like, you got a crappy, little computer camera, man. You can't do unboxings. And it didn't look good. And video is hard to edit. And, like, you just can't reshoot video and make it as smooth as just audio. And I know some people get used to that, watching their favorite YouTuber sort of jump cut. But realistically, jump cut is, hey, I had a good, line of thought and it was delivered well, but then there was this other crap in between the next point that sounded good. So I'm just going to cut that point out, and then it's going to jump me into position to my next point. But there's techniques you can do to make that not happen, or not even get to that point, whether it's from script writing or editing. But I digress. But I never really made like the hit on YouTube like a lot of other people that really sort of have come in after me. And I'm not even looking at that like as an envious prospect of, oh my gosh, Metal Lab makes so much money, and Glass Cabinet Hobbies made so much money. Like, nah, man, they hustled. and I was chilling on a bunch of things. So, but anyway, I'm going to try to up the game on the show. So if y'all looking like, hey man, we're down with that, write that in the comments below. Or you down with Twitch, or you want me to keep things the same and do Patreon? If I did Patreon, like what type of things would you want, as Patreon rewards and whatnot? And I'm really serious because I'm going to make the decisions off of the comments left, not emails or anything else. The comments that are left in this video. So if I don't really get a significant enough comments, then I'm going to make my own decision. But if there's a reasonable back and forth dialogue and I get, hell, even 50 unique comments, I'll actually take that a lot more seriously and look at the future of the show. So that's it. Thank you for listening to this review. And remember,